Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to continue with our back-end development using FastAPI. So in the last tutorial, we've been able to deploy our application to Heroku. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to learn more about CI/CD and what is all useful. So I just did a quick Google search here and then just open up what is CI/CD. So I just give you guys a quick introduction. So CI/CD is a method to frequently deliver apps to different platforms and to different customers by simply automating the task of deployment, testing, and building stuff like that. So the main concept attributes to CI/CD. So CI/CD stands for continuous integration, the CI part, and then the CD stands for continuous delivery and continuous development, right? So whenever you're trying to develop an application, you might try to make changes, maybe even 100 changes per day. So how do you keep up pushing those changes into development, testing all those changes, and doing all that automatically? And that is where CI/CD comes in. So it basically helps you to continuously integrate your application to a GitHub repository, to integrate it with your old code, and then simply deliver it to, or like deploying it to a server, deploying it to Heroku, deploying it to Docker, deploying it to Docker Hub, and all that information. So this is all done automatically, and the process of doing that automatically is called CI/CD, which includes all the automation stuff. Okay, so that's what we're going to be learning. So we're going to deploy our application to Heroku again, like we have done in the last tutorial, but now we're going to do all this manually. Okay, you're not going to do this all by using an actual code and stuff like that, by doing everything manually. So we're going to make this automatic, so that you can just run push your code to GitHub, and then after pushing it to GitHub using GitHub Actions, is going to deploy the code to Heroku or deploy it to your DigitalOcean server or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to be using GitHub Actions for this. So GitHub Action is just a platform where you can implement CI/CD stuff. So it helps us to automate our stuff. So in this case, you're going to create a CI/CD pipeline such that whenever you push your code to GitHub, it's simply going to go ahead and push it to Heroku, deploy your application to your new application to Heroku, and also deploy it maybe to Docker Hub, which you're going to do later on. But you can also deploy it to like other platforms like DigitalOcean and other Linode and other stuff like that. But in this case, you're going to be using just Heroku and Docker Hub. But in this tutorial, we're going to simply learn how to deploy use CI/CD to deploy our code to Heroku, and then also Docker Hub later on. So let's get started with it. So the first thing I'm going to go into my VS Code file. So this is where we left off from last time. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually close this for now, and I'm simply going to minimize this. So in our root directory in here, I'm simply going to go ahead and create an app. I'm going to create a folder in here. So this folder is going to be called the following. So I'm going to create a folder here, and this folder is going to be called .github. Okay, .github. Just call that folder .github. So make sure it's called .github. Okay, so inside of this folder, you're going to go ahead and create another folder, and this folder is going to be called workflows. Okay, just like that. So make sure you call it workflows. Okay, so make sure you follow the convention. This is .github, and this is going to be workflows. So instead of our workflows, we're going to create something. We're going to call this one build build. You can say build deploy .yaml file. So it's going to be a YAML file, and then I'm going to simply press enter. So this file is found inside of gitignore file, and instead of our gitignore, we have another folder called workflows, and instead of our workflows, we have this YAML file called build-deploy.yaml. So in here, we're going to go ahead and actually write our GitHub CI/CD stuff. So I'm going to say name, and you're going to give a name to this CI/CD stuff. So this can be any name you want. So I'm going to call this one blog API. So I'm going to say blog API CI CD, okay, /CD. So once I have that, I'm done creating the name of our CI/CD pipeline. So I'm going to say on. I'm going to use on here. So on, basically what it simply tells GitHub is that on which actions should these jobs run. Okay, so I'm going to say on push, right, if a person push the code, but on which branch should it work. So you can say branches, and you can say branches, and then you can specify the branches on which this should work. You can specify this in two ways by using this, and you can say master branch, and maybe also have main branch. Okay, so whenever a person pushes code to either the master branch or the main branch, then whatever you're going to keep below this this action is going to run. But for now, I'm just going to use another syntax to create this because I like the other syntax. So I'm going to say branches, and I'm going to say branches, and then this, and then here I'm just going to say hyphen, and this is going to be the first one is going to be main branch, the main branch, and then you're going to have hyphen. This is going to be another branch is going to be called the master branch. So we're going to have the main branch and the master branch for this. Okay, so we're going to have our CI/CD pipeline, which is going to be which is going to be called blog API CI/CD, and then on push whenever it's pushed to GitHub, right? You can also say on pull, but this we're going to say just on push. Whenever a person push the code, we can also write whenever a person pulls the code, some actions should run. But this case, we're just going to go ahead and say whenever a person pushes our code to GitHub, whenever a person pushes to which branches, the main branch and the master branch, right? The main branch or the master branch, not both of them, either one of them, the following should run. So we're going to define a bunch of jobs here that need to be done. So I'm going to say jobs, and this is going to be the following. So going to the first job, you can give it any name you want. So you're going to say call this one build, right? Just build our application. And in here, we're going to go ahead and specify on which operating system it should run. So on or runs on, and then runs on, you're going to specify which operating system it should run on. So I'm going to say Ubuntu latest. Let me just get that latest right. So Ubuntu latest, meaning that whenever a person pushes this code, this job build is going to run, and it's going to run on which operating system? It's going to run on latest Ubuntu version. Okay, Ubuntu system. So on our server, we're going to use Ubuntu server to run this, and then you're going to go ahead and specify which steps should be done. So which steps should be done, right? So we're going to go ahead and specify which steps to be done. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep this simple for now. So in here, I'm just going to go give it a name. So I'm going to say hyphen name, name, just like this, and this is going to be the following. So I'm going to call this one just say push repo. I'm just going to say push repo, and you're going to go ahead and say the following. So I'm going to say use uses, and you're going to say for now we can just you can use uses the following. So we're going to use a GitHub action here. So you can write all this manually, but this thing I've done so many times that GitHub also provides us a part of GitHub actions that we can use that are already built for us. So in here, I'm just going to go ahead GitHub actions, and I'm going to go ahead and search for the following. So I'm going to simply say action, and then checkout. So I'm going to use the checkout action to this. I'm going to simply press this, and you can see we have the checkout action. So this is going to go ahead, this action checks out your repository under this, and so your workflow can access it. So you can read more about this repository and what it does, but I'm just going to be using this action right there. So I'm going to go inside of my VS Code, and I'm going to say the following. So I'm going to say actions, and then / and I'm going to say checkout. So that action is called checkout, and it's going to be a checkout version 3. So if you look here, you can see it's checkout version 3. So I'm going to be using that checkout version 3, and this is the code for it. So I can even copy it from here and then just simply use that instead. So I can just simply copy it from here and just basically go into my VS Code and simply paste it here. It's the same that we type, but I'm just going to paste it. Okay, so paste it here. So done. Okay, I even made a mistake. I forgot the @ symbol. So great that we copied it. So once we have this done, what I'm simply going to go ahead and do, I'm going to have another action. So this is going to be another action, and we're going to say name. It's going to just say, we're going to say let's say print hello. So print hello. Okay, and this is what this action is simply going to do ahead, and it's going to do the following. So I'm going to say run, and it's going to run an echo. So I'm going to say echo. This is going to be a Linux command, which is equivalent of saying echo and then hello world in the terminal. So hello world, just like that. So that's basically what our GitHub action does. So let me just explain everything. So our GitHub action name, our GitHub CI/CD pipeline is called blog API CI/CD, and then it's going to run on push which branches when you push to the main branch or the master branch, and it's going to execute this job. So this job we are going to have, we have a bunch of jobs. So the first job we have right now, we have one job which is called build, and build runs on here Ubuntu latest, and the steps has this following steps. So here's the first one is name, and it just pushes to Heroku, which is using the GitHub checkout version 3 action, and then you're going to say another job which is called print hello world, and it's going to run a Linux command saying echo hello world. So that's basically it for that. So let's go ahead and actually try to make this run. So before you can actually make this to work, we need to create a GitHub repository and then push our code in there. Okay, so I'm simply going to go to my GitHub, and then instead of my GitHub account, I'm simply going to create a new repository. So I'm going to go in here and just create a new repository. So I'm going to go here and just hit on new, and then go ahead and I'm going to call this one blog API blog API underscore tutorial. So tutorial, just like that, and you can make this one to be let's leave it to be a public repository. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and create this repository. So once this repository is created, okay, we have the information. So I want to use the SSH. So I'm going to simply copy this, and I'm going to go inside of my my terminal. So we have to have GitHub installed as we the previous tutorial. So I'm going to go in here and just going to clear this from last time. So I'll just bring this here and simply clear this. So once I have that, I'm just going to go ahead and say the following. So git remote git remote. I think it is. Let me just check this command. I probably forgot it. So it's a git remote add origin. Okay, so git remote add origin, and then I'm simply going to go ahead and specify this. I'm going to go ahead and paste that SSH key. So I'm going to simply paste that, and that's all we need to do. So once you have this done, I'm simply going to do a git again add, and then I'm going to do a git commit with a message. So I'm going to say message first commit. Okay, so I'm just going to do that and simply push this to GitHub. So I'm going to simply push this to GitHub. So I'm going to say git push origin to the master branch. So I'm going to push this to the master branch. So it's going to ask me for my password. I'm going to enter my password information, and this code is going to go ahead and be pushed to GitHub. Yeah, so now my code is pushed to GitHub. So I'm going to go inside of my here, and then simply click on this, and this is going to show me the code, right? So we have the code right here. So now this GitHub actions should be able to run. So let's go ahead and check if the actions actually run. So I'm going to go inside of actions, and let's check if our actions run. So the first action failed. So let's actually see what was the error here. So first commit, the action failed. So let's check what was the error here. So it says invalid workflow, GitHub flows, this one, no steps defined in steps. So no workflow called users for the job build. Okay, so let's go ahead and check what error I did here. So so you have the name here, and then you have the on push, and it's going to go ahead and have the branches, and the branches are these two branches, the main and the master branch. Okay, and then you have jobs, and you have a job called build, and then runs on Ubuntu, and then this is called steps and not steps. So my bad here, it's called steps, and I think that was our main error. So sorry for that. So once I have that error fixed, I'm just going to do a git add again, and then a git commit, and then simply do a git push to the master branch. So once it's pushed again to the master branch, let's give it some time. Okay, it's pushed again. So once this is done, I'm just going to go back into my browser and just hit on this action. Okay, and now this is the action right here. So you can click on it, and let's see what's going to happen. So you can just click on it, and you can see we have the build action right here, and let's see what's going on inside of this action. So you can see is it has worked successfully. So you can open up this and just see what it does. So it does all this. Okay, and then push to repository, which is this steps that we provided, and then we have the print hello world step, and then this step is just going to go ahead and echo hello world, and you can see the hello world is echoed down here, and then that's all. So that's all for action. So you can see we are echoing hello world down there. So this is a GitHub action, and you have successfully built your first GitHub action. So congratulations. That's how you can simply build a simple CI/CD platform application. So now once we have this done, okay, now I don't want to go and print hello world. I want to actually deploy our application, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and delete. I can just comment it out, or I can just simply go ahead and get rid of it. So I'm just going to delete this, and once this is done, I'm just going to go ahead and do the following. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to have another action. So what you're simply going to do instead of a CI/CD is very similar to what we do manually. So if you have a GitHub repository and you have cloned the GitHub repository, the first thing you need to do is to install your requirements.txt file. So make sure the first thing you're going to call this, we're going to have an action here. It's going to be called install Python. So we're going to install Python on our machine. So Ubuntu by default has Python, I think. So let me just have another action here. So we're going to set up our Python environment. So actions // and let's go and see if you have any action that we can use for setting up our environment. So I'm just going to go in here and then simply search for setup Python. So set up Python. So just click on this right here. So it's another GitHub action that GitHub provides us, that is just used to set up Python environments, Python on the local on the server. Yeah, so if I open this up, you can see we have all this information of how to set everything up. So I'm just going to go ahead and simply I can simply just copy this. So I'm just going to copy this right here. So I'm going to copy everything here. So actually I don't need everything, so I'm just going to copy until here, right? We're going to use this right here. So I'm going to copy until this one, and I'm simply going to go in here and simply we're going to say users, and then you're going to go ahead and say setup. Let me just type this out, setup hyphen Python and at, and then yeah, at version 2. So I'm going to use version 2 because I think this is version 2. So if you check this out, yeah, it's version 2. You can also version 3, but let's just keep it to be you can also change version 3 if you want, it's fine. So we're going to simply set up our Python environment. So GitHub, and then this is actions. So just today I'm making a lot of typos. So this is actions, and then set up hyphen python at version 3. So now once you have this done, we can simply say with, and then with is going to say the following. So I'm going to say python and hyphen version. So the Python version is specified the Python version we want to use. So this is going to be in core. So I'm going to say Python 3.9. I'm just going to keep it to be Python 3.9. So it's going to install Python 3.9 on our machine. So I'm going to say another action, we're going to have name, and this is going to be it's going to be, so let me just fix that indentation. This is going to be right here. Okay, so we're going to simply say we're going to say upgrade let's say upgrade pip. Okay, so now this upgrade pip is going to be another action that you're going to have, another step, and this is going to be the following. So it's going to run the following. So it's going to run, and to run, what is it going to go ahead and simply say the following. So I'm going to say it's going to run Python. So I'm going to write Python -m, and this is the command to update a Python pip, right? So pip install upgrade. So this is the command to upgrade the Python virtual Python pip. Okay, so once we have that, you're going to have another action, another step, which is going to have name, and the name is going to be simply install all dependencies. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install all dependencies, and to do this, we're going to simply say run, because we want to run a code, right? And we're going to simply say pip install and then -r, and this is going to be requirements.txt file, because we have the requirement.txt file. So it's going to go ahead and simply run this command, and it's going to install all the requirements we have inside of our requirements.txt file. So this is this like the way we do things manually. We do the same thing, right? We set up we have the checkout action, and then we install Python using this, right? Python 3.9, and then we upgrade pip, and then we install all our dependencies. So great. That's all we need to run to deploy our application, right? Because we said that we have Ubuntu Python installed and all our dependencies installed. From there, can be able to run our application without any problem, right? So yeah, that's basically what we need to do, and to test out this CI/CD platform. So once we have this done, let's go ahead and try check the commit this and make sure that everything works as expected. So I'm going to simply clear this and simply do a git add, and then I'm going to do a commit. Okay, and I'm going to do a git push origin to the master branch. Yeah, once that's done, so let's go back to GitHub and get my GitHub repository, which is this one right here, and I think it's this one right here. Yeah, this one. And then you can just simply click on the actions part, and let's see we have that action right there in play. So this is it right here, is running. So let's click on it, and you can view that information. So we have the build action, so the build job. And then you can see it went ahead, set up the job, push the code, install Python, and then install all the requirements. So it's going to go ahead and install all the dependencies that we have. And once it's done, it's going to go ahead and complete that task. So if you view this, you can see it went ahead and install all the dependencies. So let's say install all dependencies. And I view this, you can see it went ahead and install all the dependencies that we have, right? So this is all done automatically. So you can see all the dependencies have been installed. So this is all done automatically, and that's the whole point of a CI/CD pipeline. So great. So now we have our server, we have our application running on Ubuntu latest, and it has this step of pushing using the GitHub checkout action. It's going to install Python, and then it's going to go ahead and upgrade the pip, and then it's going to install all dependencies. So great. So once we have this done, now we want to go ahead and actually push our code to Heroku, and let's see how we can do that. So to do that, you're going to create another action, which is going to be called Heroku. So Heroku deploy. So I'm going to create Heroku deploy, and that's the name going to be the name of my Heroku deployment, and that's going to be the name of my action. And this action is going to be runs on, and it's going to be Ubuntu hyphen latest. Okay, just like that. And then you're going to go ahead and say needs, right? So we're going to say needs. The reason I'm going to say needs, see in here, we're going to provide in a list, and you're going to need the build action. So we're going to you're going to depend on this action. That's what basically do. Means we want this action to run first before this, okay? Because on Ubuntu, these jobs, they run in parallel. So this will be running in parallel at the same time as this. So these two applications, these two jobs will be running at the same time simultaneously. And that's what it means, running in parallel. But what you simply want to do is that we want this job, this Heroku deployment, to run after the build has run. So we want to deploy, install our dependencies and all of that before Heroku deployment runs. So we're going to say needs, and it's going to need this action, right? It means it's going to wait for this action to get done, and once this is get done, it's going to deploy to Heroku. Okay, and later on I'm going to show how you can run other, when you're deploying to Docker. We don't actually need to do this, so we can actually run the other jobs in parallel. So for now, we're just going to run in a series. So we're going to say needs, and you're going to say needs the build. Okay, you're going to say the following. So we need to deploy to Heroku. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and specify the steps in here. So I'm just going to go and tab this in here, and I'm going to say steps. So we're going to have the steps, so the steps to follow. So I'm going to say steps, and the step that is going to follow are going to be the following. So we're going to have another step, and it's going to be name. We're going to give it a name, and the name is going to be get actions. Okay, and this is going to be it's going to be the following. So we're going to simply say you're going to simply say, let me just go here and then this and then tab this. You're simply going to say users and users, and you're simply going to say users, and then it's going to be actions / checkout. So I'm going to simply copy this right here and simply bring it down here. So copy this and simply bring it down here. So delete this and simply paste it here. So paste that there. Yeah, great. So once we have that, let me just, I think I have indentation issues right here, so let me fix that indentation. Okay, so we're going to have that, and you're also going to have another step, and it's going to give it a name to that step, and this is going to be you're going to say deploy to Heroku. So deploying, we're going to say deploying to Heroku, just like that. And this is going to use the following. So we're going to use the GitHub actions to deploy this to Heroku. We can run this automatically manually and write all the steps for that, but there's no point of doing that because there's a GitHub actions for it. So we can just use the GitHub action. Okay, so you can see these are the steps that we have here. So I'm just simply going to go ahead and copy it from here. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy everything here. So I'm going to go ahead, copy this, and simply go ahead and paste it right here. So I'm just going to delete this and paste it here. So yeah, that's basically what we need. So I'm just going to keep it like this. So we have this GitHub action that is going to deploy to Heroku. So this is the action, and then we have all these specifications. So where do we get all this information from? So we need to provide in our Heroku API key, we need to provide in our app's name, and we need to provide in our email. So I'm going to use all this as environment variables. And to use environment variables on Heroku, what you simply need to do is simply just use what we have here. So I'm just simply going to copy this right here and simply copy it and simply paste it here, and also paste it here. So I'm going to paste it in these two places. I'm going to call this one, this is going to be our app name. So I'm going to say app name. So I'm going to say app underscore name, and this is going to be called my underscore email, just like that, my email, just like that. So now we need to provide these two values right here. So we need to provide the secret, the Heroku API key, and then we provide in our app name, and then we also need to provide in our email. So how do we get all this information, and how do we set it up inside of our environment variable? So the first thing we need to do, we need to tell GitHub which environment we want to use. So let's just go here and say environment. So GitHub actions know which environment to use. Okay, so environment, and then the environment is going to be the following. So we're going to say name, and the name of the environment is going to say, I'm going to call it Heroku underscore production, just like that. So you need to create a simple environment called Heroku actions on my GitHub. Okay, so let me just go to my GitHub page, which is this one right here, and then go into my I'm going to go into settings. So instead of my setting, make sure that you're inside of this repository. So inside of settings, I'm going to go into environments, and inside of my environment, I'm going to create hit on new environment. So in here, I'm going to go give it an environment, the name of the environment, call it Heroku production. So I'm just call it that, and simply configure environment. Okay, so once the environment is created, I can just go ahead and add the secret variable. So I need to provide the first one, and the first one I can just go and see what I need to do. So I need to provide in the Heroku API key. So I'm going to go in here and then go in here and simply paste it in here. So paste it here. So paste it here. And so to get our API key, I'm simply going to go into my Heroku dashboard, and instead of my Heroku dashboard, I'm going to go in here and just click on this, go to account settings, and instead of my account setting, I'm just going to go scroll down. So I'm going to go here and just simply copy this API key. So I'm going to simply copy it and go instead of my here and just paste as the value. So I'm just going to go ahead and just let me just reveal that, and then I copy it properly. So I'm just going to hit all of this, copy this, and simply go in here and simply paste it here. And once I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead and simply add that secret. So yeah, that's done, and I'm simply going to go back into my applications here, and then I'm just going to hide the API key for now. So don't use my API key. I'm going to delete this just afterwards. So once I have that done, I can simply copy my go back and just simply copy my app name. I believe I called it okay, this one is the app name. So I'm going to simply copy this and simply go in here here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and add another secret. So this is going to be called, I'm just going to paste its value here, and I called it secret app name. So I'm going to copy this, and that's going to be the value, okay, the key rather, and the key and the value. So I'm going to paste that there and simply create that secret. I also need to pass in my email, right, because I specified here as my email. So I'm going to pass in my email right here. So I'm going to simply copy this and to simply go into my Heroku app, and then the GitHub, and then simply click on add this, and I'm simply going to go ahead and paste this here, and I'm just going to say coding shark, and this is the email that you use to create your Heroku account. So coding shark 206 at gmail, right, at gmail.com. That's my application, my email. So coding shark 206 at gmail.com. So then just add that there. So once I have all that information added, now I've just instructed my build the Heroku deployment action, Heroku deployment job to run on Ubuntu latest and to depend to wait for this one to get completed, which is a build job. And once the build job is completed, you're going to say which environment you want to use, and we call this environment Heroku action, and which is the name of this environment that we just created right here, Heroku production. And then you're just going to go ahead and specify the action, which is checkout action, and then deploy this to GitHub using deploy this to Heroku using this GitHub action. And then I'm simply going to specify the app name, the key, the Heroku API key, and then simply our email. So that's all we need to deploy this to Heroku. So once I have this done, I'm just going to go back inside of my terminal and just run a git add everything, and then a git commit, and then I'm just going to do a git push to origin. So once this is committed, now this application should now be deployed to Heroku. So now let's go ahead and check out that. So I'm just going into my actions, and instead of my actions, it failed right here. So let's see why it failed. So let's see here why it failed. So it says that has no workflow called users. Okay, users Heroku deployment. In Heroku deployment, under Heroku deployment, we have an error somewhere. So we have this, and it says users. Yeah, let's see where we have got an error. So let me just read the error again. It says that no step defined in steps and no workflow called in users for the Heroku jobs deployment. So under Heroku jobs deployment, we have an error. Okay, this actually got the spelling of steps wrong, so it's actually steps. Okay, my bad for that, so sorry for that typo. So once I have that done, I'm going to simply go ahead and simply do a add, and then I'm going to do a commit, and I'm simply going to do a push. Okay, so once this is pushed, we should now be able to go into my my actions, and let's see that there. So hopefully I haven't made any more errors, so I'll just click on this to see. So our first job that is going to run is the build job, and once the build job is completed, the deploy Heroku job is going to run. So let's wait for that to get completed. So right now is running the build job, which is going to set up our environment on Heroku latest, and it's going to install all our dependencies and upgrade pip. After that, you're going to simply deploy this to Heroku using our applications right here. So using all that information that we specify. So build is completed. Now deploy to Heroku action is now running. So you can see Heroku deploy is running. So I need to give some time to get that for that to be completed. Okay. Yeah, it took a bit of time, but that was completed. So you can see all our two actions are completed. So now we have written a simple CI/CD pipeline using the GitHub Actions platform, which is just a CI/CD platform, CI/CD platform. So you can see we have the two, the first action being built, and after being built, it's going to deploy everything to Heroku, and everything works as expected. So now application is being, now every time we just do a git add and git commit, and then a git push to our GitHub repository, this action is going to run, and it's going to redeploy our app to this version right here. So it's going to redeploy our app every time we make a change. Okay, yeah, and those changes can take place in lifetime. So if you want to change those changes, try to change one of these values, and then run the GitHub git add and then git commit and then git push, and then you see that also it will reflect the changes right here. So great, that's how you can simply run a simple CI/CD pipeline to build and deploy your Python application to Heroku using GitHub Actions. So if you guys enjoyed so far, let me know in the comment section below. Please kindly like the channel, like the video, subscribe the channel. That's the one way to support me and keep me motivated to keep making this video for you guys. So yeah, make sure to subscribe the channel and leave a comment in the comment section below on anything that I should improve on. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep safe.